I can't wait to play it back.
Sounded like Kristen.
It's my name. Wow. Even being the sort of Novena type 7-day candle, you can see the top of it is done. And we put in.
I talk about setting the table for the dead if you've had a table that's set with them before. Having the same dinner, creating that same memory, the same sense. They can smell things.
Dragging Brandon back on.
Yeah. 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 And then
We've been looking for abductions all night. Who are those two humans? That's Betty and Barney Rubble. Dumbass, you're thinking of Betty and Barney Hill. Already abducted. Does he remind you of Travis Scott? Dumbass, you're thinking of Travis Walton. Already abducted. I'm starving. What, are we going to stop for something to eat later? The scanner relays came back. That's Chris and Kristen from Bigfoot and the Bunny. Which one is Bigfoot? Which one is the bunny? Dumbass. Oh my god, you're such a dumbass. Such a dumbass. Such a dumbass. Such a dumbass.
And welcome to Bigfoot and the Bunny, aka Dark Horse Paranormal Podcast. How are you guys? Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday.
What's going on? We got a good show for you guys. We're really excited. And I don't know. What do we do this week? I know there was some stuff I wanted to talk about before the show.
What did we do this week?
I don't remember. What did we do? Tick, 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 tick.
Well, we
tick,
watched the rest of Outer Range.
Outer Range was good. You guys seen that? Outer Range. It's on Amazon Prime. Not to give Jeff Bezos any free advertisement, but yeah, it's really good. It has what's his face is on it? Jeff.
No, Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin. We call him Jeff. And yeah, it's a really good series. If you guys haven't seen that,
yeah,
a lot of you folks out there, a lot of you folks on YouTube tonight, which is really awesome. And I know you're here to see our lovely guest who we're going to bring out in a moment, who's been on a show quite a few times, and we love her. She is great. We love her books. She is currently the author of, I believe, 5 different books, and I had them ready to go. Boy, I just really stumbling over here, aren't I, babe?
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Oh, geez.
You're doing great.
Oh, geez. Look at, I'm clicking windows.
That's because Chris likes to have 50,000 windows up at once. And I always say that to him. And I'm like, can you clear some? I can't find what I was looking for.
She's the author of the wonderful and very creepy Omnipresent, and then Omnipresent What Happens Next, The Colors of Heaven, The Gap, and I think I'm missing one, so I'm just going to bring her out and we can talk about it. Welcome to Bigfoot and the Bunny, Lynn Monet.
hi, everybody. How you guys? It's so great to see you. I'm so glad you're back.
Thank you.
Glad to be back. We missed it.
It's wonderful to meet you again. And,
absolutely.
we miss you guys.
Oh, well, we missed you too. I know that everybody needed to take a little break. It seemed like we all had a lot of junk happening at the same time. So everybody was kind of stepping away, but I'm honored to be here. I really am glad that you reached out and invited me, and I've really been looking forward to this tonight.
But of course, we got so much to talk about, and
yeah,
this may actually be like a 2-parter because I don't know if we'll get it all in tonight. But a lot's gone on. When we all got together last year at Haggard Mill and South Carolina. We had a blast. We had such a good time. Bill was so amazing.
Bill's fun. He's amazing.
Isn't he?
We love you. And we had such a great time, and a lot's transpired,
Yes.
So no Hago this year, but I think Brandon said next year's a go. So we might be making that
so,
check.
that was fun, even though it was 18-hour drive.
Yeah.
Back.
Yeah, we're flying next time. That was a lesson learned.
There's Mr. Metz.
There he is.
Where is he at? Oh, there he is. Okay.
We love you guys.
We love you too.
As well. What's going on, Bob? What's happening? I'm glad we can make you giggle
Hi,
with that. Yeah, that was kind of a time warp, and I just threw that together real quick before the show. But yeah, there was some stuff there going back from our UPRN days, our network we used to be on, and we started out with, and our little radio ad that we had on there.
Yeah,
with the
everybody was like
set up voices,
kind of professional. We were like, no, we're gonna do what we,
we're gonna do what we do.
Are,
That's kind of the way it rolls. We like to have fun. We're not exactly getting ready to retire off of our paranormal income. So,
oh, goodness.
Unfortunately, damn it.
Right.
So yeah, we like to have a little bit of fun. And we want to give a shout out, speaking of networks, to the Paralanx, the Paranormal United Network is one of the networks we are going out on tonight. And we love those people. They are amazing, have been wonderful to us.
Yes, they have.
And have nothing bad ever to say about them. And just thank everybody for joining us, because it's awesome to see you. So what have you been up to? I know we talked about a house, and I don't want to set up the story too much, but when you were first checking it out, things were looking a little weird, and then they got better. And that's why I titled the show Haunted Blessings, because it seemed applicable to that situation.
Yes. I am actually with the Omnipresent books. I have the one called 111 Becca Dawn Drive getting ready to come out, which was about an apartment building that was haunted. But going forward, I am writing currently the book called Omnipresent Knome, Place Like Home. And that's Gnome, Knome as in gnome. My sister passed away in June, and I ended up inheriting her house. And the thing is that my sister, prior to her death, had been complaining that she felt that somebody was doing black magic on her, that there were spirits in the house, and she was trying all of these things to protect herself and to get rid of the things, and it just wasn't working. So after she passed away, I was sitting in her house, and I'm sitting in the living room, and she's had passed away earlier that day, and I noticed all of a sudden this an image of my father walking in, and he had on these ugly golf pants. They were like tomato red and white paisley, ugly golf pants. And I remember thinking to myself, why in the hell, Dad, are you in heaven with those ugly golf pants on? And then later on, I found a picture of him in a room upstairs with those pants on. So there was something in the house that was mimicking him by seeing what the picture looked like. So this thing could shift change. Anyway, to move forward, my son had come up. I had my half sister Mary had also come up to help me go through things. And when my sister Mary was sleeping upstairs in my sister's bed, she woke up around 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and I hear her singing "Jesus Loves Me," and she's saying a prayer out loud. And I mean, this is going on, and I'm thinking to myself, she must be talking in her sleep or something, because this has been going on a while. But she told me that the next morning that she was sleeping, she was awakened by this wreath of faces that was circled up over the top of her bed. And because she knew she was helpless to do anything about it, she just started praying that they would leave, and they didn't. So, they eventually finally left, but there was a reason why they were there, which I'm kind of getting to. So my son and I, my half sister left, my son and I are at the house, and we're like, it needs a good cleansing. My sister had a lot of illness, and we needed to go ahead and clean the house out. And plus we also were seeing things in the house. And so we went through with our usual fire component and cleared everything out. we do a fire component that we give the souls an opportunity to leave on their own. And if they don't, then we go in with fire. And of course, oxygen is sucked into the fire and they get sucked in and get stuck in the bottom of the pan.
That's quite a thing.
Yes.
Not to interrupt you, but I've watched video that you've created from that. In fact, I should have probably clipped some and saved it for this, because you're walking around room to room. You've got something pretty serious there holding that fire, right? I mean, you're holding it, this fire, this smoke, and you're working the thing, and it's an amazing process.
Yeah, I usually have Bill do it, because it scares me, and we have to put a long pull on it to keep it away, because sometimes when you're picking up the energies, it flares. And I mean, the flames can go 6 feet tall. And then there are other times too that there are things that will dub it out. So, you'll walk into like a closet and all of a sudden, boom, it's like somebody puts a lid on it immediately and puts it out. So there is a little bit of trickery with that, but I usually try to get Bill to do it, but he wasn't with me on this trip. So Austin and I had to do it, but we went through the house, but there was this one thing with the house. There was this entity in the house that was like challenging us, even though we had already cleared everything out. Hey, Greg, I hope you're feeling better. I'm glad that you're here tonight.
Us too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
He's my brother from another mother too. So, but anyway, so my son and I, we did the clearing, but there was still this element in the house that was almost like challenging, kind of like, is that the best you got? And so my son is standing in the master bedroom doorway. We're both upstairs. I'm standing in the hallway bathroom, and all of a sudden we see this little tiny thing under 3 feet tall walk past me, walk past my son. He goes into the master bedroom, and all of a sudden my son says to me, "Did you see Hogwarts go by?"
like Dobby?
Well, actually, he looks more like Dobby now, but he looked just like one of the bankers.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Well, because he was angry. He was very, very angry. He didn't want us there. So he was posing as kind of more of a Bogart looking type thing. But it turns out that he is a fae, but he looks more like Dobby now. He's very sweet and humble. But so I didn't say anything, because I mean, that's exactly what I saw. They look like the banker on Harry Potter. So my son speaks up and he says that. So we both see him at the same time. So he comes back out of the master bedroom, passes my son, passes me, goes back into this third bedroom. All of the bedrooms are upstairs. And then minutes later comes back again, passes me, passes my son, goes back into the master bedroom. But this time there was this ectoplasmic mist in the hallway in front of the third bedroom door. And in that misting was this wreath of faces that my sister had commented seeing when she slept in the room. And it turned out that we call him Bob because his name is a mess of letters like Rumpelstiltskin. There's no way to pronounce it. So we've gotten his permission to just pick a name and so it's Bob. And he was apparently standing next to her bed, and the wreath of faces that were with him were almost like balloons, were floating over her bed and she couldn't see that he was there. So, he was next to her bed, and he didn't want her there, because that's when he was very, very angry and grumpy. So after seeing that, I'm like, there's got to be, and I could feel when I was sleeping on the couch touching me. I actually ended up with an attachment on me that was really gross that I had to have somebody help me get off. So I contacted 3 different people in 3 different areas that did remote viewing. One of them was in Canada, one was in Florida, one was in South Carolina, and I'm in Louisiana. And all 3 of them went in and told me the layout of the house, told me that this fae was part of the ground. He liked being under the house in the ground, which turns out to be true. And that he was coming in through a portal underneath the stairs that went up to a room upstairs, and that there was something in there that he wanted. Well, I had been up in there in the third bedroom maybe 2 days before, and there was this rock, this ugly rock. It didn't even look like a natural rock. It wasn't smooth. It just was, it didn't look like a normal rock. but it was an ugly color. And I remember I was going to throw it away. It was as big as my hand. And I thought to myself, well, my sister collects crystals. Why on earth would she have this ugly rock? But when I picked up the rock, the energy that came off of it was so strong that it just ran right up my arm and into my teeth, and my teeth were like burning. So I immediately put it down, and I'm like, ooh, yeah, we're not going to go there with that, whatever it is. I'll clean up everything around it and just kind of go back to that. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
it turns out,
touching you.
yeah, it turned out that the rock belonged to Bob, and Bob wanted his rock back. Bob helped create my sister's illness that eventually took her life, and he admitted to it too. So, but to him, having her take his rock was like abducting his child. And if somebody were to abduct my child, I'd be doing things to him too. You know what I'm saying? That way. So after talking to the people with the remote viewing, I was told that I needed to take the rock out and give it back to Bob, and that they were mentioning this area behind the house where there was like this shed and this grassed area, and to take it there and leave it. So the next day, my son and I get up. My son goes upstairs and gets the rock, and he's coming down the stairs, and he's going out the front door, and this little thing is flinging vines that were wrapping around his legs. And my son's like, man, my legs are so itchy. And I'm like, well, no wonder, because he's flinging vines on you, trying to stop you because you're going out the door with his rock. And of course, after they exited, I'm like crossing people over. Come on, now's your time to go, because I made the mistake of assuming that he has captured these souls that he was carrying around for his own entertainment, which turned out to be wrong. I was corrected on that after the fact. So my son takes the things out. I'm helping cross over some of the people, and of course, not all of them wanted to cross over. So we were told too that the Fae have been here ever since time was created. So traditional religion and the things that we would normally use to clear a house doesn't work. So, and then that's why it didn't work. And he would literally stand with his face between the balusters of the stairs and kind of press his face through and just look at us. And he loved dropping F-bombs. So, and his favorite word for me, a name besides the biatch word, was F-bomb, F-bomb, F-bomb. So it was like F-bomb you, F-bomb you, F-bomb you. But it was very quick and in a row. And that's what he would call me in the house. So we learned that we would have to negotiate with him. So we ended up getting liquor and tobacco, and he loves beignets. And we made an agreement with him because we had to stay in the house. And the negative pull, because of his anger, was so strong in the house that it was almost, it depleted our energy, that we were like slugs almost. We needed to stop and sleep in between and different things to replenish. So we made an agreement with him to stay outside, and that we would give him these things. And then something, so we had told him too that we would be leaving that Monday. But Monday came, and there was a leak in the sink upstairs. So we ended up having to stay an extra day and find a plumber.
Do you think like breaking that agreement had a repercussion? Was there a problem because you had said, and you made a deal, right? And this is common in spirit work. You say something, I'll do this, you do that. That it had an effect?
Yes, it did. As a matter of fact, and we didn't realize how much of an effect it was going to have. So we told him that we were leaving Monday. Then we had to get a plumber. It just so happened that Monday was a holiday too. I don't remember if it was Labor Day or what it was, but so it was hard to find a plumber on that Monday. So my son and I left, and we went to lunch. And the agreement with Bob was that he would stay outside, but once we would leave, that he could come back in the house and do whatever he wants to do, in the house, because we'd be gone for months at a time. So my son and I came back after eating, and all of a sudden we hear this grumbling coming up from the back of the house towards us. It sounded just like the Tasmanian devil, that me talking under his breath. And then, of course, a few F-bombs and obscenities and the B word again. And I'm like, you know what? We forgot to tell him that we have to stay one more day. So we told him. We said, look, we're sorry. We made a mistake. We should have told you, but we have to stay one more day. There's been a problem with the house that needs to be repaired. And we will give you some extra things. I'm going to give you a crystal and I'm going to give you this. And, you know, please stay outside of the house. So he went back outside. He stayed out of the house. So that night, my son was loading my sister's truck with some things that I needed to take home from Louisiana to bring to South Carolina. And there were heavy things. And all of a sudden I hear F-bomb, F-bomb, F-bomb. So I run to the door thinking that my son has injured himself. And I open the door. My son's face is right there. And I'm like, what happened? He's like, what? And I'm like, you were yelling F-bombs, you know, outside. What happened? Are you okay? And he says, well, that wasn't me. And I said, well, did you hear anything? And he said, no. I'm like, okay. So the next morning, we get up and my son is, again, he had started his car because his battery had to be jumped to get, you know, to get it charged and going. And he was plugging in the cord for the phone to charge it so that I would be able to use the GPS all the way home because I didn't know where anything was on this truck. And all of a sudden I'm standing on the front porch. My son's in the vehicle and I hear F-bomb, F-bomb, F-bomb coming from that shed area behind the house. And so I walk over to my son because it sounded kind of, because that he was kind of, you know, off over that way a little bit. And I walked over and I said to him, I said, are you okay? And I said, did you hear, are you, you know, what's the matter? And again, it wasn't him. And I said, did you hear those F-bombs? And he said, no. And all of a sudden we both hear F-bomb, F-bomb, F-bomb. The Bob was standing in the doorway of the shed, literally trying to get our attention because he wanted to make sure that we left the treats for him that we promised. And he was afraid that we were getting ready to leave because the vehicles were started. Now, the difference between a ghost and a fae, or this in the case that he's not really Bogart anymore. He said that he's a rockin', which he explained it to me, and I'll explain what he had mentioned if you want me to. But they will meet you at the gate. That they don't mess around. The ghosts will kind of linger sometimes and they'll kind of watch you to see what you're going to do, you know, and then they'll kind of come forward, but he meets you at the gate. And the thing is that we've built a rapport with him. He's this amazing being. We feel so honored to have him on the property. He does magical things that are beautiful. I'm even thinking about doing some enchanted tours because we had Jim and Melissa Rupert out there to do an investigation and they verified that he's out there.
Yeah.
Pardon me. And they saw
cool. Yeah, we like them. Sure.
Yes. Jim saw him. He saw him too because Bob kind of came into the back door peeking while Jim was standing in the kitchen fixing something and he saw him enter in. So, I mean, we have witnesses, not just family members that have seen him. And they're people that we all know that are reputable and none of us are crazy. So you know, that's the nice part about this podcast that you have also. This is not the 101 class. This is the advanced class. People that come here to congregate can talk about these kinds of things because they know that they exist already. They don't have to be convinced. So it's nice that we can speak freely about things like this. So thank you for having.
Oh, thank you so much. And that's a really good point. You know, a lot of times to somebody who's never seen this before, maybe doesn't have a lot of experience investigating or just with spiritual entities, they'll listen and just think, what? They did what? You know, and that kind of thing. And that's understandable, you know, because we're like that at some point. But when you've had these experiences, these truly unexplainable things happen around you. It leaves an impact and then you can understand other people. I mean, don't get us wrong. There's always some skeptical part of us when you're having a conversation, say, especially if you don't know a person real well. And they're like, well, you know, I was in my bed last night and there were 14 ghosts dancing around throwing water balloons at me. And you go, well, that seems a little odd, but maybe, you know, now maybe it did. Maybe they did. I don't know.
They did.
Who am I to tell you? All right.
That's
your
true.
Experience is your experience.
Well, you all are more than welcome to come at any time and stay for free at the house and visit
we want to.
Louisiana if
Thank
you would love to. And you would get to meet Bob and enjoy the enchantment. My son was laying underneath his car, as I'd mentioned, that there were some issues with his battery, but he was also trying to change the oil. And he said that while he was laying there, he saw these bare feet, as in BEAR, not like as in no shoes, these bare feet walking past of a spirit of a bear. And then behind it were the little feet of Bob following behind it. And he does such beautiful things with the yard, the spirit animals that he fills the yard with at nighttime, or it's not even all the way nighttime. It's more of that dusk time where you can see the spirits of foxes and rabbits and bears and deer and all kinds of beautiful animals just wandering. It's a huge 2-acre country lot with nothing but cows across the street and cows behind it. It's fenced in. It's got a 6-foot fence all the way around. So, you know, the whole yard is filled with these beauty. And he does this quilt-like thing, these energetic things. He says that he's working with the ley lines, where he will have a gold light going. He has his rocks and some of the crystals that we've given him, he has asked to have placed in certain positions in the yard where they connect energetically in triangles. And I don't know what the thing is about the triangles, but it looks like a quilted blanket, only instead of squares, it's triangles. So it's very beautiful because it has a gold light going from one to the other, and then a silver light, and then a blue light. So like on the back part of it that are connecting all of these things. But we have gotten to speak with him and gotten to find some things out. And we got to find out the story about the rock, and I'll be happy to share that with you if you'd like.
Yeah. And yeah, please do tell us more about the rock. I don't understand the original attachment to the rock, or did it, like, you know, what it looked like or anything? It was like a crystal or just a rock.
Yeah.
It was opaque. It was a very dull, greenish brown, ugly rock with orange streaks kind of in it, just a little bit, nothing shimmery, nothing shiny. And it had concave. It looked like it was from the moon. I mean, it didn't even look like something from this earth. It looked like somebody had poured cement or cement, however you say it, cement, you know what I'm saying? Concrete.
Yeah.
And because it had a few ridged areas, and then there were some concave areas, and it didn't look like, I mean, a rock, you know, a rock is, it's hard to describe, but the color was, there was no sheen to it, no glitter to it. It was just this dull color of like olive drab and brown streaks and orange streaks. It looked like a turd. I mean, it just, you know, I mean, it just,
it wasn't extraordinary. Color. It wasn't like a quartz crystal kind of rock or anything like that.
Nope, nothing. And that was the thing, and thank God I didn't throw it out, because it was a good thing that I did not throw it away like I was going to. My sister apparently inadvertently picked it up out of the yard and decided to place it in the upstairs bedroom, not realizing that it belonged to him. So, and of course, she didn't even know that he existed, because the thing is that when you see him, he looks the same as a ghost. It's that same waffling to the air that's energetic, or that same misting appearance walking by. He has this very blocky head. So, you know, when he walks by, I mean, you can see his head and his ears kind of pointing backwards, and the big nose and all of that stuff as he walks around. But the rock, it turns out, first of all, he apologized and he became very emotional talking about the rock, because that was a rock from where he originally comes from. Now, there's a portal in the yard between 5 trees where he goes from here to England, because that is where he originally comes from. But yet he has been overseeing all of the land, not just my sister's yard, but all of the land around there. It's his area that he takes care of. And he goes through the portal to transfer back and forth. And that rock came from where he originated from. Kind of like the Trolls movie with the little rock people, the grandmother and grandfather roll out, kind of thing. So you just never know when you're picking up a strange rock on the ground that it might belong to somebody. It might be somebody's grandmother, but he didn't look like those things. But so he had made mention that the rock he loves stories. He loves to be told stories. And he said that the rock held information of ancient times and ancient stories that the rock would relay to him. And also it had music about it. And he said that there were other components about the rock that he couldn't tell us yet, that these were special things or only things that the Fae would know and that he would know how to use them. And he went on to tell us also this story about his rabbit. He had a brown rabbit that then passed away. And then he said that the king of the Fae gave him a white rabbit that was his companion and his friend. And he just loved this rabbit. And apparently the rabbit had passed away like 2 years ago. And he had made mention that when the rabbit passed away, that he almost wished that he had gone with it because, rabbits don't live very long, but he just loved this rabbit. And he went on to talk about how the reason why he was holding spirits hostage, and it wasn't because he was holding them hostage, it was because he had collected them, because some of these people had very serious ailments. They were in severe depression. Maybe they didn't feel worthy to cross over for one reason or another. So these were souls that didn't have enough oomph or desire to cross over. And he gathered them to protect them because, as we all know, a lot of times when we go on investigations and we find a house that's haunted, it seems like there's always some kind of a darker element holding them there. You know what I mean? Especially if they don't want to cross over.
We've seen it.
For
We
sure.
call them gatekeepers.
Yes. So he was trying to protect them from the gatekeepers. So he was actually relieved when I offered to cross them over. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to be leaving to go there this coming week, either on Tuesday or Wednesday, where I'll be finishing crossing them over. He would like to have the burden taken off of him of constantly having to have them with him, but to protect them from anything darker taking over them. He wants them to be able to be crossed over. But there have been so many, it just, he's talked about the division of the Fae and humans and how we used to work side by side. And like I said, he looks like a ghost, the same as a lost soul looks like a ghost. And the thing is a lot of times, people, they have paranormal groups come in to clear out the ghosts and then they're not gone. Well, maybe it's not a ghost. It might be an elemental. And you can't, and the elementals aren't leaving.
No.
You either have a choice for you, for you to leave, or you make nice.
Mm-hmm.
So, and so, they, he warmed up to us pretty fast, but they can read your heart. They know the present, they know the past, they know your futures. And the thing is too, is that they don't reincarnate, from what he said, that they were created at the time that the earth was created. He also said that our human bodies were created at the time that the earth was created, kind of like a walnut has the tree and every leaf that it's ever going to have and every root that it's ever going to have in that walnut when you plant it. And that the earth is the same way, and it makes sense because when our souls leave our bodies, and of course the souls come from source and our souls go back to source, our bodies stay on earth and they become dust. Technically it's talked about that way. So it would make sense that we were created from the earth, our bodies, but the soul that comes in is of course from source, or from God, or from whatever you want to call it. It was created. So, and it makes sense about the leaving behind thing, which is another thing. Oh my gosh. I'd like to share something with you about my sister when she passed that I found interesting, if you'd like.
Please.
Okay. My sister, when she passed away, she wanted to be cremated. And she wanted to be placed in the ocean where we used to play as kids. So I had her cremated. I took her ashes to the ocean, and I'm carrying them in this box down, wrapped in a towel. And the energy that was coming from the box was familiar, because even though they're ashes, there's still an energetic feel to them. So I'm carrying this down, and I'm like, I told Bill, I said, I can't do this. I can't even stand to carry these close to me, because even though the energy coming from these ashes are familiar, they are my sister's ashes and they are familiar, but they're all of the negative parts, the cancer, the sickness, the sadness, the anger, the all of the things that happened to her in her lifetime that were not good were left in those ashes. All of the good stuff, I mean, you leave that stuff behind with your body and you go on with the good stuff. So you leave all of that behind. And I'm like, I can't stand to even carry this close to my body. So we ended up putting it in a sand pail, putting a towel over the top, and then I carried it out into the ocean waist level and lowered it down into the water, and it looped around me and went out. But the thing is people sometimes, they find comfort in wearing a loved one's ashes and a pendant on their body. And really, you're not carrying the parts of that person that you really want to remember them by. You're carrying the leftover stuff that gets left behind, that's not allowed into the other realms. So I want to mention that. So if ever somebody does want to keep something of someone in memory, ashes may not be the best idea, because of the negative energies that it holds. But if the person is still breathing and their body is still going, and you want to snip a piece of hair while they're still alive, then then everything is in there. You still have the joy and the happiness, as well as the sadness and all of the things that make that person who they are. But it's not, the soul hasn't left yet. So you can get some hair or something like that and keep that as a treasure that you can have close to you, because it's not going to hold all of that negative energy that the body's ashes do. So I just wanted to make mention of that.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
that speaks to this concept we talk about sometimes, about like a multi-layered soul, right? So many cultures through history have said, no, it's not just one soul. And I think it's an assumption in the paranormal world that if you're communicating with something, it's coming through your radio, it's left an EVP, that you're talking to the entire being just as they were as you knew them. And that's not always the case. Yeah, a lot of those personality traits will carry over into what's left, but there could be something left that is like the worst parts of that person. And, a person has to kind of raise their vibration, right? It's a saying that I think gets thrown around too much, but it kind of makes sense, where you're talking to something more ethereal, more Empyrean, something from the heavens, right, is a different part of that person than what might be here left on earth.
Absolutely. And they look at things differently on the other side once they've crossed over. The animosity's gone, the jealousy is gone. It's just all about loving one another. And because you can see the present, past, and future on everybody and connect with them in that way, you would then have an understanding of why, like maybe your spouse cheated because it was a karmic thing, because you cheated on them in a lifetime before. So then that understanding is there, and that forgiveness takes place. But the thing is too, is that's why also when souls choose not to cross over, which we've had this conversation before about the fact that at the time of death, they can choose to cross over or not. And when they choose to stay earthbound, they still have their mental illness, they still have their addiction, they still have any of those issues, their cause of death shows. Excuse me, let me just get something to drink real quick. And when they've crossed over, they're in more of a perfect form. The cause of death doesn't show. And when they do come to visit, it's a very positive thing. Whereas when they have not crossed over, it's more of a negative pull. So even when people say, oh, well, we've got this lady ghost in our house, da 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 da, and she's harmless. Well, no, she's not harmless, because even unintentionally, she kind of carries that negative pull if she is someone that is stuck earthbound, if that makes sense. So it's really, if they're stuck earthbound, it's really not a good idea to have them in your home where you're sleeping, because they will disturb your sleep. And especially right now, I mean, oh my God, with the planets alignment and all of the BS that's going on, with the veils being so thin and things like that, we got all kinds of really funky stuff, that's coming into our realm, trying to influence people right now. And it's just crazy. So
Do you think the CMEs, which have been like crazy, the solar storms?
Just going to ask that.
Yeah, I figured you were, because Kristen's more into the CMEs than I am even. And I find this stuff really interesting, are influencing the spiritual world.
Yes. Well, and in addition to that, all of the negativity that's on the earth right now. And as we know, I've got to word this carefully for fluff tubes so that it doesn't, I mean, I got flagged one time mentioning a hamburger one time, because some of the people in India, they don't eat beef and it's sacred. So they pulled one of my podcasts because I mentioned eating a hamburger. But yes, back to let's see. What were we just saying before? I'm sorry, I just lost the train of thought. You were talking about the
solar flares and the CMEs, and what do you think?
The X-flares and whatnot.
I think that they do have an influence, but there's also this negative pull of these things. We all know, looking at some of the situations, even with the government, that there have been walk-ins, and some of them are not human walk-ins. I mean, who could possibly be doing some of the things that people are doing and be human type thing? My son, as a matter of fact, he was sleeping. And my mother, my entire family has passed away in my immediate family. I do have a half sister and half brother from my father's first marriage, but out of 6 of us in my immediate family, same parents, same mother, they're all gone. I'm the only one that is left. So my mother is around my son a lot, and my son was sleeping, woke up about 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and my mother's standing next to his bed with 3 other people that he didn't recognize. And she's just smiling at him. And my son's like, Grandma, what's the deal? I got to get up in 2 hours. I got to get up at 5 o'clock to go to work. Why are you waking me up? Come back another time. And when she turned, she had this long reptilian tail. So it wasn't my grandmother. It was something mimicking my grandmother, because what's happening is that these things are coming in mimicking things. They'll present as a child, or they'll present as somebody familiar to you, so that you're more comfortable in allowing them to stay. And there's kind of still that component of needing to be invited, type thing. But you would be more willing to let if it posed as your mother to stay, or a child to stay, or something like that, you would overlook it. If it came in as some ugly, creepy thing, you'd be like, get out.
Right.
But they're trying to sneak in.
There are like rules, it's almost like they have to reveal themselves. When we say a spirit presents, that's how you're perceiving it. It's not, another person standing next to you without gifts or anything they've worked on like that won't see it, but you see it, and you still see the tail. So there's some sort of like almost a component that says, all right, well, I'm this, but if you look close, I'm not. And it's enough for you to perceive. Yes, I think that's terribly interesting. Like, they have to be honest in a way.
It's almost like an exorcism. You have to ask them their name, the demons, their name. It's like that.
Yeah, right. Recognizing the name. Like that has some kind of power, knowing the name, rather than just saying, get out.
Yeah.
No, and I agree with you with all of that. And the thing is, too, is several people that I know, Katie Turner's one, a couple of other psychics that I've spoken to that we all know, they're mentioning how even when they're giving readings to people, that they have to ask the spirits that are coming through specific questions to make sure that it is actually the spirit coming through that is supposed to, and not something mimicking it, because these things have gotten so good at mimicking that it's hard to tell. And the thing is too, is there's one thing that I have, a couple of things that I'm going to share with everybody, including the iron bracelet thing with Nathaniel Gillis shared on your show a while back. So I went out and got one. But I'm going to share a few things. The one thing that I have learned, and I find this very interesting, is even when you command something to leave that's negative, in the case of an elemental or even like an alien type thing, they won't leave because they're not bound by the religious laws, so to speak. They are bound by their own rules and laws. But the one thing that I have found out that works across the line is that if you sit and you focus on your heart chakra, you can close your eyes, you don't have to, you can be looking at it or even in the room, and you envision it coming out like sonar, like pink rings of sonar.
Oh, yeah.
And you can, yeah, and you can even say love, 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 or you can imagine it because your thoughts are as strong as your verbalizations. But when you think it and verbalize it, it's like a double whammy because your thought comes out first before your mouth. So you're like doubling it. The thing about it is it shoves away anything dark, even dark fae. They can't stand, they shrivel up like a booger. They can't stand to be in it. It's like a bad stench in the room, and they will dart out of the room as fast as they can. Whereas if it is a loving spirit, or like really your mother that's coming to visit from the other side, or like even the white fae, they will relish in the love. They will embrace it. It won't be offensive to them. So that's a way to determine if a ghost shows up in your house or something shows up in your house pretending to be something that it's not. If you send it love and it's something fake or dark, it won't be able to stand to be in the room with you. It will take off. And I can tell you, love conquers all. And in this case, it works on aliens, it works on elementals, it works on fae, it works on, you know, lost souls and people and loved ones. So that's a way to determine. And you can protect yourself with that force field of love whenever you need it. If you feel concerned or something, just take a minute to just focus on that, filling the room with the sonar rings, getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and just even filling a room for that matter. It will shove the dark things out. So because they hate it, they absolutely hate it.
I think it's fantastic. And the heart chakra is completely underrated in that way. I know I use it myself in some of my own practices and sorceress doings. It's a focus on it, and it is this sort of radiating thing, and it just clears the room, and I never have issues. And it does come back to love, right? Like love is the thing.
It does. And you know, something else about the heart is people don't realize that heart has memory. The brain is not the only organ that has memory. And this has been proven over and over. As a matter of fact, there was a little girl that was 11 years old, and this is documented, and you can Google. There was a little girl that was 11 years old that received a heart transplant from another little girl. The other little girl had been brutally murdered. And the recipient who received her heart, after receiving her heart, started to have night terrors. And lo and behold, after a period of time, the recipient was able to identify the guy that murdered the little girl.
Oh my God.
And they caught him because the heart recipient identified him. And this is, you can Google it. This is a true story. And I mean, there are so many times that people talk about, you know, getting a transplant of a kidney or anything like that. And then all of a sudden they're craving food that they couldn't stand, or they're talking with an accent that they didn't have before type thing. So they are picking up some of those cellular level pieces of that person. And then once it's in their body, it circulates, and it also, you know, they multiply. But the heart,
it trains the soul or something, because like, why does a ghost remember things that happen if there's no body, there's no brain to remember, right? There's no heart, and even these other organs. All these things are working together, I think, right aligned with the consciousness or soul of that person to get through this period of time.
Yep, absolutely. And the thing that's interesting too is that people don't realize how powerful the heart is for healing, and how you can almost heal your body with your heart and the heart memory, and you have everything within your heart. The heart is just looked at as something that pumps blood and life through your systems, that it has no memory, but it has a lot of memory, and it's cellular memory. So even with that, even in a meditation, if you go inward and you focus in on your heart, you can ask the heart to heal certain things in your body and to see it done that way, because then you're connecting the consciousness with the brain consciousness, with the heart consciousness, and it all works that way. And you can definitely help heal things. And hopefully people will start to find that out even more and more, because there's just so much more to it. And people, they don't realize that that this can happen. So.
Oh, I think that's a great point. Yeah, I know you and I had talked about, and maybe it was on a thread or something, we were talking about a knowing mediumship, and this knowing what is laying around in the collective consciousness. And I thought it was a wonderful point, and I was hoping you could talk about that or elaborate on what you meant by that tonight.
Well, for one thing, when people are psychics, they reach into that collective consciousness. And also from the collective consciousness, I mean, there are a couple of things with the collective consciousness. We are all fragments of that collective consciousness that come down here on Earth. And they're also, and I know, people, they question this sometimes, but we sometimes have 6 lives simultaneously going on here at the same time, not necessarily on Earth. It can be in other dimensions and elsewhere, and they can ripple one over into the other, partially because of the collective consciousness. But the thing is with the collective consciousness, especially like right now, there are some things that were brought to my attention with all of this fear mongering and all of this stuff, keeping people in that state of worry and fear. They're continuing that collectively conscious, projecting that out into the atmosphere, and everything that you put out in thought, in the collective consciousness, it comes back. It comes back. It may not come back that day. It might come back a year from now or 5 years from now. So people have to really, really take responsibility for their thoughts and what they're thinking. And they don't realize that also your guardian angels are on standby to help you. They will not come in and help you because they don't want to violate your freedom of choice, but they are happy to help you. So you need to call on them, and not just once, every day. If you need something, and you need to be specific with your consciousness, specific with what you're requesting from them. Like, for instance, if you want a hamburger, universe, send me a hamburger. Well, then you get a hamburger and a bun, and there's nothing else on it. Well, where's the pickles and the ketchup? Okay, well, then I want a hamburger with pickles and ketchup. Well, then you get it, and it's not cooked, and there's no bun. You have to be specific. I want a hamburger on a toasted sesame seed bun that's cooked medium rare with ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise. You know what I'm saying? You have to be specific about what you're asking for, because otherwise it leaves it open to the universe sending you whatever it thinks that you're asking for, and it may not be exactly what you want. You may want that car.
Blanks, right? You've left these blanks, and it's just going to fulfill the wish. Yeah. And by the way, I think we were just banned in India.
Oh, okay. Yeah, probably so. That's right. Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, the hamburger thing. No, the hamburger thing was funny. The hamburger thing was funny because I was talking about Thanksgiving, and that when my mother passed away, that she had always made the turkey. And I think you've heard the story that she'd always made the turkey, and that when she passed away in July, it then became my job, and I'd never made one before. So, and she had come through and she had said to me, "Don't forget the aluminum foil." And I'm like, "I don't want the aluminum foil. I want one of those nice brown turkeys like they have on TV." And I found out that, of course, without the aluminum foil, my breasts burnt and my legs were raw. So the meat didn't cook evenly. And so we ended up eating hamburgers, and I got pulled for that one.
That's wicked funny.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
So don't be surprised, but just in case we have to redo this or something like that. But I am learning so much. And like I said to friends, I'm extending out. Also, I need an editor. If anybody knows of anybody that's editing, my editor has gone off with life, and so I do need somebody to edit my books. So please reach out to me at my website if you are interested in doing that. And yeah, let me know, because I've got one that's been sitting for over a year waiting to be edited and waiting to come out, and I've got another one that's almost finished. Also with the Knome Place Like Home, I think, did I mention that I'm going to be doing 2 additional books off of that? After meeting Bob, we're doing books about Bob. And I was told that if I would be willing to write these books, that they would do the downloads, and they are doing the downloads, because there's no way that I could possibly know this information. I mean, it's just, and it makes sense. The stuff that's just coming, it's just coming. So yeah,
Do you think inspiration works on these kind of levels when a person is like, say, in their best form, and they're just, pushing things, and their brain state changes, and they go into more of an alpha, kind of like enhanced state? Is that where the communication happens, and why we see athletes like reaching maybe bigger goals than
painters
have been set
muse.
Off before? And the muse, and the Greek muse, of course, and painting and that sort of thing, whatever it is you're working on.
I'm not for sure on that, but what I do know is that I know that when I sat down to write books, that all of a sudden it's like, and you hear music, people that play music and they're writing songs say the same kind of thing, where it wasn't me, it came to me. You know what I'm saying?
And Tori Amos, it's a subject that we like to broach, because for exactly that reasons. And I was a musician in another life, and occasionally things would just hit and happen, and you go, where did that come from? It's
exactly.
It just did what they were going to do.
Well, I was Claude Monet in my last life.
Interesting.
Yes.
So, yeah, that would give you a pretty good skill set.
Yeah. Well, at least I can say that yeah, I know. But and I paint with acrylics, so, but I never do. But, and of course now I can say that I have officially had a pair. So yeah.
That's awesome.
So, but yeah, there are so many wow, I'm really excited about writing these books, because I knew nothing about the Fae. That was not my forte. I don't even know why I got picked for this job, but part of it was all falling into place with the house, and I'm thrilled to learn all of this stuff. So and to share it.
In the paranormal, I think that there is like a gap of knowledge, right? Because it's people's perceptions, and while you can have multiple people see this person, this kind of this Fae, they're not visible with our regular perceptions and our regular line of inquiry, right? And they're just not immediately going to talk to you either. But people have believed in them for centuries and centuries.
Thousands of years.
It goes absolutely back to the medieval days, and the witches and stuff that were being burned when we had that going on in the world. Initially, before it was the devil, they were talking to the fairy kings and that sort of thing. The fairy king became the devil. And that was really through the push at Christianity and just feeding people's minds with this kind of information, that what they perceived became something else.
Exactly.
My opinion.
No, and I agree with you totally. And the thing is Christianity has demonized the Fae. And part of it is because of their connection with Lucifer. Lucifer was one of the smartest, most beautiful angels. He loved music before he became a fallen angel, as a matter of fact. But he was also the king of the Fae. And when he decided to take things into his own hands, and he would then fell from heaven, the Fae kind of got drug along with him out of their dedication to him being their king. So it's not that they chose to go in a different direction. They kind of got placed here and were inverted here that way. But that's kind of how that goes. And it's kind of like, and you think about it, it's kind of, it doesn't make them bad. It's kind of like a person that is a friend of mine, Lisa, mentions, like having parasites on them, like some of these parasites with schizophrenia and addiction. That doesn't make the person a bad person because they have this parasite on them. So it's the same kind of concept, that they were kind of drugged down with that, type thing. And that's why there's dark and light even in the Fae realms. So That's one of the things that I've learned. So
Yeah, no, that fits with stuff how we've learned as well, and I think that's totally true. Not unlike jinn, they can be good or bad, and they're kind of neutral. And I think a lot of spirits are like that, not necessarily evil. Although I think there's an aspect of people when people die that is like their worst stuff, and we've tuned into this before with some of our recordings, and including one that we did in Haygood, in a cabin. What was the name of that cabin?
Birdine Cabin.
Birdine Cabin, and the roof of that, using magnets, crystals, and different things. We got the most creepy, negative stuff, and it had to be like the worst part of this person.
Yeah, most of the time.
Mhm.
Since we've been
Wilson,
using it with Wilson because of the magnets and
yeah. There's something about the magnets, I think,
Yes.
that just draws it, and magnetic energy in general,
It's like
that plays a role in the paranormal, that isn't really fully explained.
No, I agree with you on that. And, and also those magnets can be forming some kind of a portal. So you just never know, or vortex for that matter. And there's with every vortex, there's a positive side and a negative side. So the negative side could be coming through there, especially if they're working with some kind of ley lines or something. And everything's working with ley lines because they're all over the place. So yeah, it just I'm thrilled to be teamed up with Bob, who does look like Dobie now. He's very sweet. He loves beignets. He doesn't ask for anything, but he loves, he wants paper hearts. So the next time I go, I'm bringing him paper hearts type thing, just to leave for him. And he has his little rocks strung all over the yard. He has my son placing them. But the purpose of them wanting me to write this book, and I say that because I've been asked to write the book, is to bridge the gap between the humans and the fae, and to kind of bring that together. And I've even made mention that I have concerns about it, because I don't know if the human realm is ready. There are so many people that are not like us, in the sense that if I would never ever think, and I know that if you had one too, you would never ever think of taking advantage of the fae. You would have gratitude, and you would appreciate, you wouldn't. But there are so many people of a different kind of mind. They have that expectation and those demands, and it shifts it to a non-loving act. And it should be a shared loving act in that way. And I've even made mention, I'm like, look, I've got my concerns. I know some people, you'd be like the genie in the lamp. Right. I want my 3 wishes.
Even that's like a bit, right? Because the jinn, just like our elementals and our fae, seem to be very real creatures. I mentioned several times in the Quran, which is the Islamic Bible, for lack of words, that they take very seriously, and they feel that they exist. And I think there is a correlation between them and what we call the fae, and that's a big umbrella, right? We could be talking about brownies, and like for the longest time we thought we had a brownie in the house, and
I called them the little man.
The little man, we keep seeing him in the corner of our eye, and things that move, and
like
that kind of stuff.
Need something.
Yeah.
To borrow stuff like the borrowers.
Right.
Yeah.
It seemed very real once that starts to occur. And these things have been around, I think, like you mentioned, I believe longer than people have. I think they were here first.
Yes. Absolutely. And the thing is like I had mentioned, they don't go through reincarnation, but they live a very, very long time. So once they finish their time here, they're done. Something that Bob had told me, he said that he was a Rockin, and ROCKEN, a Rockin is how he pronounces it. I don't know if the spelling on that is correct. It doesn't matter, as long as the enunciation is correct. And he was explaining to me that his father is one, and that they are guardians of the dirt and the ground and the soil and the crystals and the rocks, is what they do. So like he walks around, sometimes he's half in the ground and half out. So you'll see his upper body kind of moving around because he's doing stuff in the ground. And he was mentioning that his mother was of the trees and the grass and all of the things that grow on top of it, and that normally the two don't mix. And that his father and mother ended up getting together, and that he has 7 brothers, and that they're all Rockins like the dad, and how he was ventured out at a very, very early age to the areas that he was supposed to be a guardian over, which is what they do. So, I mean, some of the stories that that he's sharing, you know, you kind of sit and you wonder a little bit, but yet they're beautiful. I mean, he wouldn't have any reason to make any of that stuff up. You know what I'm saying? There's no benefit to that for him. And I'm not, and again, I'm not the only one. I mean, Katie Turner has channeled him. A friend of mine named Lisa has channeled him. And the common thing about channeling him is the fact that his vibration is very, very different. Brian Bowden has channeled him as well. He may even be in the room tonight. He has also channeled him, and he was one of the remote viewers that identified him and was one of the one that helped to tell us what to do with the rock, because he knew where that was. So, but yeah, it just, and I kind of got off the beaten path and forgot what I was saying here. There was a point that I was trying to make.
The book that you're writing.
Oh, okay.
Well, you got two.
Well,
you got one in the can, and
yeah.
And No Place Like Knome.
Yes, exactly. Well, anyway, I guess the main thing the point I wanted to make is that then to bridge the things back with the humans, regardless of my opinion of that they're not quite ready. I would not want to see, because you know what? Everything's nice if you're you're evenly trading and things like that, but you don't want to piss one of these guys off either. Because they're not nice, and they can make you very sick if you piss them off and those sorts of things. However, I don't plan on doing that with Bob, so to speak. And so far so good.
Ancestors are probably more in tune with these kind of things than our civilizations. We've trained ourselves to really be, blind in a way and closed-minded.
Exactly.
And every single thing has to be
Because
science,
we have
or it's
technology.
not real. And because the technology is amazing enough on its own. It truly is. The fact we have cell phones is just mind-blowing compared to what we would have thought growing up,
Oh, I know, right?
Greater than our science fiction to have an iPhone now,
And we're all addicted to it.
Yeah, we are. And we really are.
Without our
And
phones.
a lot of that thought space, which, as I mentioned earlier, is like a kind of energy. And I really believe that. We have that thoughts and intentions are very real. They go beyond what we see, and maybe they reverberate in that collective consciousness. Right?
Exactly.
Creating those impulses and those sort of things.
Exactly. And, and as you said, I mean, everything is energy. We're energy. Everything is energy. And energy, from a scientific standpoint, can't be created or destroyed. Elementals and fae are also energy as well. And by the way, people, fairies do not have wings. Disney did that. So they self-propulse. They really don't have wings. So
they're not
they're not Tinkerbell. No, they're not. I think back in the 1800s they added the wings, but fairies really don't have wings. They I don't know how they float. They float. They self-propel themselves. But anyway, as far as the energy thing goes, most people, if they can't taste it, see it, feel it, I mean, not see it, if they can't taste it, touch it, type thing, then it doesn't exist. Yes. And even if they see it, they doubt themselves. But, there's this whole, even in medicine, there's this whole energy thing that is totally ignored when treating people. They treat the physical symptoms and the mental symptoms and the emotional symptoms. And even the emotional symptoms are a gray area, because it's not something that you can touch, but you can feel it. So, but with the energy thing, they don't address the issues with the energetic fields. And I think that when medicine gets to the point where they start to realize and they start treating that fourth item that they need to be treating, a lot of things are going to open up. But I still think that we're a long way from doing that. I think things like schizophrenia will be treated differently. I think that mental illness in general will be treated differently, that way, and pain for that matter, because there are things that are attaching on people that are creating pain, and then they, seeking relief for their pain management, they end up becoming addicted, and then that creates a whole dark cycle of rippling effect and more negativity in the atmosphere. So
just changing a person's disposition about present day situation can have a huge impact on that person as far as how painful it is and how whether it's something trivial or it's something they can find a reason to empower themselves with, or whether it's something they obsess on and are miserable about, right? I mean, it's all about a state of mind. And if you have the ability to change that in any way, it's a powerful influence.
Oh, it absolutely is. And, you know, people have to take care of themselves too. Another thing that I wanted to mention for protective things, besides the iron bracelet, thank you, Nathaniel, and also the radiating of the love into a room, put salt in your shoes. You know, so many times I have people come to me seeking help for, let's say, you know, the voices that they're hearing and things like that. And I try to help them because most of them aren't taking their salt baths. They don't realize how important keeping that energetic field, that arc field, clear and clean, and making sure that there are no cracks in the windshield at all. And most of the time that people with schizophrenia, it's because they've had a trauma that has caused them to be open to the attachments. In the case of addiction, it's usually invited, so it's a little bit different, but there's still that taunting in the energy fields. But you know, it just, and again, I don't know what's the matter with me tonight. I'm having like senior moments. I turned 61 3 weeks ago.
Oh,
So,
come on.
I did.
Happy
You're
birthday.
in your freaking 40s and
Oh, I like you. I like you. It's the angle of the camera and the lighting, but I mean, my mind is like, woohoo.
That's okay, because, you know, we have another show we can do too with you. We have to come back.
Yeah, for us, I think as we keep doing shows over the years, we're just going to keep turning down the lights. So we'll get to a point where you.
Well, and then the camera keeps getting higher. It gets higher.
Yeah,
till you see the top of the head. You know, it's like
not too high.
when we were at Haggard Mill, I'm like, there's people saying, take it from up here, take it from up here. You remember? It was funny. So it was like, don't, excuse me, don't take it there. But, you know, as I was mentioning too about the energy fields, once they start realizing that those are things that need to be addressed, and that that spirits are also energy, as we were talking, you know, if we talked about before in the past of people passing and souls wandering and things like that, they definitely, hi Echo, they definitely are going to be treating things, I think, in the future differently. I hope better than later.
Yeah, we hope so.
Yeah, let's hope so. I mean, we've tried this before. There's still spiritual rescue therapy is like an ongoing thing out there, but how far it actually gets into medicine and breaking that barrier of the medical community is yet to be seen. You know,
there was a doctor that actually started doing that. What was his name? Do you remember?
We liked him. We used to email him, and I can't think of his name.
Oh, Dr. Jerry Marvinsky.
No, it wasn't him.
No.
He passed away since, but he has a great book on it, and I had gotten in some conversations with him, but it's a few years ago. I forget. I'll remember for next time we're on. We can definitely explore that topic. It's a topic we like and have researched before, although, you know, what do we remember now? Yeah. Right. Yeah. I know the husband and wife team in the 1800s that was going to asylums, working this, and the Wiccan, what is it? Do you remember? It starts with a W, Wickenford or something. I'll have to look at that again. And when you come back, we'll talk about that, because I think we're going to have to do a part 2.
Absolutely.
No, I would love to do part 2. I just completed my death doula. I've got the certification for that, graduated, and I'm getting ready to start classes for that new Mace energy healing, which if I need guinea pigs. So if you want to volunteer, it's a freebie. And what this does is it's a type of, it works with the energy field to take the stamps off, the negative stamps. The thing about traditional counseling for people, especially with like post-traumatic stress or things like that, is that when they have to sit through counseling with a counselor and bring up the past and talk about the past, it constantly restamps the energy field and brings it current. So Absolutely. It really isn't helping. So what this energetic treatment does is it goes in and helps you to release those stamps. And sometimes you only need one session and you're done. and good to go. I mean, the most I've ever heard anybody even needing is 6 of them. And I mean, and other people have been going to counseling for years and years and years and years and years, and still, haven't, gotten really the help that they've needed. But this it worked. And I actually had it done on me. Dr. Jerry Marvinsky did it on me. He says, hey, I'm going to do this. Can I try it on you? And it works. None of us have been trauma-free in our lifetimes. All of us have had something, that kind of derailed us as kids or whatever, even as adults, some trauma that we've gone through. And the thing about it is it's not like fireworks going off and bells and whistles and things like that. It's more subtle. But the thing is that instead of being actively in the act that is scarring you, you're more like a bystander looking through the window at it. So instead of having that anxiety and that fright mode, when something it happens, you're more so looking at it and saying, oh, wow, that's terrible that happened to those people. Oh, wait, I'm in that. But it's not clicking your buttons. It's not hitting those stamps. And you're not getting that reaction as much. And it seems to really make a difference. And so he did it on me, and I'm telling you, it works. And there are only like 12 practitioners in the whole United States. So, and it's a schooling that's out of Australia. So I'm going to be starting those courses coming up the end of this month, as a matter of fact, and I'll be doing that for 4 months and become licensed and practice that. And friends, friends get it for free. So if you need it, you can reach out to me. I'll be happy to do it for friends for free, and type thing. And plus I need some people to practice on, because I have to videotape me doing it so that before I get my licensing, they can see that I put in the hours and, that I'm doing it correctly, so they can critique me. So, and the thing that's nice too, is you don't have to bring up your crap. You know what it is in your head, and they walk you back into it, where you don't have to say, oh, well, I was raped, or I was molested, or a dog bit my leg off. You don't have to tell anybody that. It's your stuff is still your stuff, and it's private, but it walks you back into that. And in your own mind, you go back to it and you release it and come back out. So you're not having to expose yourself, and having to tell stories that are things that you really don't even want to have to talk about.
That's
which
really
is good too.
Great.
That's awesome.
That pain is such a barrier through getting through it, right? Because you feel that emotional sting, and it's such a big thing. If you have a painful memory of trauma, it's hard to get past it. It's hard to see it as an outsider, or to even see the whole picture of what was going on in that moment, because it's so subjective and you're dealing with it, and it's just an instant thing. You can't help it. It's like a knee-jerk reaction.
Even though
Absolutely.
you block it out as well, so your brain doesn't know what it's doing. It's either you try to block or
definitely. I think that's what most of us would do, just blurt it out and not
Exactly.
really experience it, and not be able to heal from it, because it's held up and blocked, and it's still present, ever present in the subconscious. It was the Wicklins, by the way, I was trying to think about these.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're right. It does remain in the subconscious, but it still rears its head, and people, a lot of times they'll go to substances to mask out that pain that they're feeling at that subconscious level. So it really is important to release those things. And like you said too, when you have that kind of trauma, when you are thinking about it and bringing it forward again and again, you don't realize that you're putting it back out into the universe too in another way. And then you're going to end up bringing it back to you again. So energetically, it cuts all of that out. So, yeah.
That's wonderful work. And thank you for the invite.
Definitely.
People know how to take those courses when you're ready. Now we see Brandon, speaking of gnomes, is out there.
Yeah, it's just good.
Hi, Brandon.
Hi, everybody. I hope you're doing good. I know this is great stuff. And how do you feel about coming back to talk about it some more?
I would love to. I would absolutely love to. Oh, and everybody put salt in your shoe. That was one thing that's the point that I was getting to, is that so many times when I have taken attachments off of people with, say, schizophrenia, for that matter, Because they have created coping skills, because they've had these issues for many, many years, and they've been told that it's their problem, they have created coping skills around it in order for them to be able to adapt and function in life. So when those attachments are removed off of them, instead of hitting the floor running and going forward, because in addition to removing that, I have to elevate their energy field and elevate their levels upward, because otherwise they're lingering down there where those bottom feeders are that are attaching to them, because they pull them down instead of letting them go up. But the problem is that people have become so comfortable with their bottom feeders clinging to them that they have a tendency to reach back down into that and pull them back forward instead of moving forward in a more positive way. So, it makes it very, very difficult to remove things from people. And when I try to tell them to please take their salt baths, because the energetic field is so important, that you want to keep it sealed and protect yourself. You want to keep it wide and away from your body so that those things rebound off of you and you don't collect them. But everybody's so busy, and a lot of people don't have bathtubs. So it's like people will call me back and say, you took it off, but it's standing outside of my room and I can hear it breathing in my door. Well, did you take your salt bath? No. So I have found something else that works. If you take just 5 grains of sea salt or pink Himalayan salt, it can just be like 5 or 6 grains, and you put it in your shoe. You say a prayer over it, because as everything with energy, I'm being mooned, but everything with energy, pull up your pants. Sorry, Bill. But anyway, you want to, as it is energy, like with the hamburger thing, with energy, you want to direct it as to what you want it to do. So you would say a prayer over it. You can say whatever prayer you want. Please, because the salt has a molecular energy in it and it forms in these perfect little squares, it mixes with your energy. So you want it to be directed. You can say, you can read Psalms over it. You can say a prayer over it. You can ask it to heal your body, to heal your mind, to protect your auric field, to keep negativity away from you. And then you take it and you sprinkle just 5 grains in your shoe. If you're wearing sandals, put it in your pocket. If you're naked, get a Band-Aid, a little round one, and sprinkle and just put it somewhere. Okay. Have your salt on. It has the same reaction in your auric field as taking a salt bath. So if you've got showers and you can't take a salt bath, please do this much. Salt bath is still top better, but it brings you up at about a 75 to 80%, clearing that way. If you don't have a shower, or if you just can't do the ritual of the showers, multiple days in a row, like it sometimes requires, please at least protect yourself that way, because it'll instantly put like a force field around you with the salt. I
think that's wonderful. And it reminds me of like straight up hoodoo, really, especially with the shoes, because in hoodoo practice, right, you can take petitions and keep them in your shoes. You can write a petition to, say, a saint, and say a psalm over it, and sing a psalm, put it in your shoe and wear that for the day and see how things feel. Very interesting, that you bring up more or less the same kind of activity where it's under your feet all day, and that kind of keeps you grounded into it.
Yes, exactly. And keeps your space clear. So yeah. So
out here.
iron bracelet, salt in your shoe. What was the other thing?
I love the iron. Echoely fun to know that the courses that you're going to be offering, are you going to be able to do them? Are they over Zoom, or is it something somebody signs up for? How does it work?
Coming up, I am going to be doing some Zoom classes. I haven't completely put them back together yet. But this other thing that I'm doing for the MACE practitioner, I'm going to be taking classes, and then I'm going to be scheduling appointments with people, kind of like you would come to my office kind of thing. But I'm not going to have an office. It'll all be, over, online kind of thing, where you schedule an appointment with me that is solely your time, and I go through during that time with you the stamp releasement therapy. But I will be giving some classes on protection. I'm going to be giving classes on elementals. I want to be giving some classes on end of life directives with my death doula so that people can prepare. I mean, people, there's two things for sure in life. It's death and income taxes. So, you need to be prepared for both. And there's a lot of things that people don't realize because death is not a comfortable subject for most people to talk about. They, they don't realize some of the benefits that they have coming to them if they make the choices for themselves before they pass away. That there are a lot of, for one thing, you don't need an attorney. You can do it all yourself for free. I mean, if you want a healthcare power of attorney, you get a 5 wishes packet offline, you fill it out, you notarize it, and it'll stand in the court of law. It tells you how to change it if you need to. You want to have on your checking account and instead of or, so that if you share a checking account with a loved one, they don't shut it down. You know what I'm saying? Because of the wording, just that little word. And there's just so many, many things, to make your wishes known. There are also a lot of things with, cremation that are much less expensive that you can do, because a lot of the funeral homes are now sending their deceased clients to the places that you can go to directly. And then they have the ashes sent back and they charge you an extra $3,000. And then not only that,
Right.
and a lot of people are choosing not to have funerals anymore. My sister didn't want one. She just wanted to be gone. You know what I'm saying? I personally, when I go, I've told my children, I don't care what you do with me, whatever you need to do for your own closure, but make it cheap, because I'm not in there, and I'm probably, on a beach somewhere having Bill peel my grapes for me. He's over there too. And, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't need the funeral to be remembered. To save the money, go on a cruise and talk about good things about mom, go out to dinner, or go, go get a cabin in the mountains for a week and have the family congregate there. Save your money. I don't want a funeral. Just put me in the ocean, just like my sister did. We used to play there as kids. Don't keep my ashes in your house, and please don't put them in a pendant and wear it around your neck. I'm there. You don't need that part of me close to you when I'm, standing right next to you.
Heck yeah. It seems like
good point.
Yeah, very good point. Absolutely. It seems like death has been a business for a very long time.
Oh,
like, for example, like the Egyptians and the pharaohs, you had to be rich to be mummified and buried with your enclave, right? Not everybody had an enclave around them of servants and helpers and, people to scribes and things of that nature, but they did. And the common person wasn't mummified. Not everybody's a mummy in Egypt and that sort of thing. There's a reason. It had to do with the money. It was all
The 1%.
At 1%.
That 1%.
Yep. Well, keep my jewelry and keep my money and have fun with it, because you need it here where I'm going. My life, life doesn't really begin until you leave here. And I'm going to be thrilled where I'm at. So don't worry about me, but you keep what you need here, for it. So yeah, I know.
Salt in a spray bottle is also a good alternative.
Yes.
And there's another guy. You got to get back on here, Brandon. We haven't caught up in a while. We miss
yes, it is. Thank you for mentioning that, Brandon. That is excellent as well.
As is Florida water.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The thing, and that's true. The thing about the salt, though, is that because salt also makes it part of the body, kind of like even.
Salt of the earth.
Yes, exactly. It's from the earth. So there's something molecular about it that kind of enhances the auric field, which is why it kind of plumps it out, for lack of a better word. And you want it to be plumped out, anywhere you go, because you can pick up these things if you crack in the windshield, and especially if you've even had like surgery or something, because when they cut your skin, they also energetically cut your auric field, and people don't realize that you need to make sure that you've not only healed your wound, but you also have sealed that crack in the windshield as well, with energy and some kind of salt or ritual, or if you can take a bath, type thing that way. But the salt definitely, and like what Brandon had mentioned about the salt spray.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Something to be said for the sprays and these little ritualized things it can be extremely helpful.
Exactly. And remember to direct it. Even if it's the spray in the bottle, you need to tell it what you want it to do, because otherwise it's going to do nothing. So you need to tell it.
And you see somebody smudging and say it's our indigenous folk or something, and they're putting a lot into it. They're not just wafting the stuff like an exercise. They're putting their intentions into it. And there's a reason for it, because it's more than the sage. That sage needs direction, or juniper, or whatever it is they're using at the time. It's important. There has to be another component.
And that would be their thoughts, putting it out there.
Yep. And after you put your thought out, and I totally agree with both of you, after you put that thought out there, you have to, we get monkey mind every once in a while. Once you put it out there, don't doubt what you put out there. Don't question, just put it out there and trust and see it as if it's happening now. In the hamburger thing, that you've got it in your hand, you're eating it, type thing. You trust and you let it go. So many times people accidentally negate things that, they don't realize, I just prayed for this protection this morning for good things to happen. But then they go and they're like, darn, why does this always have to happen to me? And, I never win the lotto, and I never this. And, so-and-so's, just don't do that. Don't do that. Trust that good things are coming from you. And if you are having an issue, even at work, that sonar radiating love, it works wonders even with people that you don't like.
With the heart, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Certainly, if you catch yourself being a victim, stop. Just stop.
Exactly.
And look for the better things or opportunities, even in
exactly.
Is going to help you tremendously. Brandon mentioned that and we read the smoke. So there's more to it than just the intentions they're using it for divination and signs, I guess. And it's a very interesting point. Thank you.
Well, that's wonderful. If ever I need that, I'll definitely reach out to Brandon, because I don't know how to do that part of it, but I would love to learn more about that, just to have the knowledge. I know that Brandon has the gift to do that. So, but I would love to understand the meaning behind reading the smoke, for lack of a better word, and why and what that means spiritually, so that I can understand. I mean,
they work with candles sometimes read the way the candle melts, right? And the wax that comes off of it, and
exactly
the forms of it, and how it looks, whether it goes a lot or if it's only a little, and what it looks like.
And also how the flame flickers.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's
all
big
of that. All of that matters. So yeah, definitely I would love to come back. So my show on Gaia is out. It came out last week. I need to send out the link to everybody.
Gaia, really?
Yeah. I had my queen bee moment. I was so thrilled. Reality hits, of course, when I get home. George Noory and his team from Gaia flew me out to Denver, which is now the new Hollywood. And I had a guy at the airport pick me up in a Lexus, and he was my driver the whole time I was there. And anywhere I wanted to go or had to be, he would pick me up and drop me off. And I got to stay in this hotel, no kids, no dog, nobody I had to take care of but me. And they had this gorgeous bathroom that had this giant bathtub in it, like one of those kinds of bathtubs that the water comes up to your eyeballs. I wore that bathtub out. So I was in it at least twice a day. So I had my queen bee moment. And of course, they dotted all of the I's and crossed all of the T's. And I actually even had somebody ask me for my autograph, because here this Lexus driver keeps coming to pick me up, at the hotel to take me to the studio. I had the makeup artist and everybody. I mean, I was treated so well that I had my queen bee moment. And then, of course, I had to come home to reality and drive my Toyota Corolla, and pay bills. So, anyway, I did this show with George Noory for Gaia. It's called Beyond Belief. I did it back in February, and it just came out last week. So I have they've just released to me a link that I can share out. And if you don't mind sharing it out too, which will give you
Love to.
7 free days with Gaia. So you can go on through my show and watch Gaia, anything you want on Gaia for 7 days. And then you can either choose to continue on and pay the fee, or you can choose to stop it. So then that way everybody can see it. Please give me a thumbs up, make a positive comment. If you think it was good, I hope that everybody thinks that it was good. It's been getting a lot of good comments, and then that way they're going to have me hopefully back next year. So I was
That's awesome.
very proud of that.
Hear that. That's
Awesome.
great.
Yeah, good for you. And if you want to put that link out, I don't know if you can copy and paste it over in the private chat. I'll put it out in the main chat. That's wonderful to know. So that's super cool. You got that going on. You have a lot of things going on.
Yeah, I do. A lot of books, and of course, keeping up with Bill is and I'm sure he's still in the room. Oh my gosh. Anyway, he's
What's up, my man? Say hello.
Hello, Mr. Matt.
Pop in and say hello.
Did you hear him earlier while she was trying to talk? You get ding, ding, ding. I can hear it. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's still in the kitchen.
Yeah, he was mooning me. So it just, and I'm trying not to laugh because it's funny as hell, because he's just funny. So, but anyway, definitely, please, I would love to come back. I'm doing Journey Through the Gate every last Sunday of the month. I'm doing Aquarius Rising Africa every 4 weeks. So it's on a Monday. I'm consistently, I've been on California Haunts pretty regularly coming up here, but the one in Africa and Cisco is going to be consistent and ongoing on their shows. So,
that's great.
Yeah,
we Journey Through the Gate,
Yes.
Cisco Murdoch, and yep. That's great. What was the second one you mentioned? What was that?
It's called Aquarius Rising Africa.
Okay.
Yeah, with Chantel. So I've been doing that for a couple of months now.
Is that
And
also on YouTube?
pardon me?
Is that on YouTube?
Yes, it is on YouTube. Yes. Yeah, and it's during the daytime because their hours are like the opposite of ours. Like right now, it's first thing in the morning over there, and it's nighttime here, and it shifts. So yeah. They're usually sleeping when we're awake. Yeah, it's tomorrow already over there. So it was tomorrow like 8 hours ago or something. So they're always about 8 hours older than us. So, but yeah, so I'm real proud of that too. Also, I'm talking to Katie Turner about possibly doing a podcast together coming up, maybe starting in around July. I don't know yet because her schedule's really, really busy and mine's been really, really busy. So it's just been easier to be a guest on shows and schedule that way. But we're kind of talking about it more so in the sense because a lot of people have wanted to know if there are going to be classes and that sort of thing, that we can kind of line up stuff like that too. So, and I am going to be going to the Gettysburg Bash.
That's right.
I look forward to seeing a lot of people there then as well.
3rd week of July. Well,
Yep.
we'll have you back before then, maybe as soon as next week if you're free.
Yeah.
I would love to.
All right. That'll be
Yeah,
part 2. It'll be
actually-
next Saturday. That sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
We've had a blast, and there's a lot of things I wanted to get into that we kind of only brushed on tonight. And I know you have more to tell us as well. So we definitely look forward to that. It's interesting to note, I was going back through some of our videos on our YouTube, youtube.com, / Dark Horse Paranormal Guys, hint, wink, wink. Please like and subscribe. But you are our first guest that when we moved off of our last platform over to new stuff, or we were just doing it on our own. I don't know if we went over to Pun at that point. We started using StreamYard basically, and we got off of Skype. You were our first guest, and I think you were on
That's right.
before that, back in the Skype days as well. So we love that you came back and
Yes, thank you so much.
want to
That's my
hang out with
pleasure.
us for a while and have a talk. It's been great.
Mhm.
It's been great. So
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I just love both of you. Bill and I both love both of you. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Florida. Woohoo! And,
yeah,
yeah,
Daytona.
definitely.
Daytona, baby.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be fun. we'll have to, we'll get that all worked out, but can't wait to see you guys. And thank you again so very much for having me on. It's been my pleasure. It always is a pleasure. And I'm so glad that you guys are back. You were so greatly missed.
Oh, that's sweet.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you. And thank you, Linda, for the
Hi,
bacon.
Linda. Yeah,
That's
bacon is love. That's a Cisco thing.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Thank you for taking time out of your Saturday night to come hang out with us, talk some paranormal stuff. We will see you next week, and I believe with the lovely Lynn Monet. So then,
yes.
And
as Rex Bear says, be the change that you want to see.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that. We need some better end phrases. We always say that. Just wing it anyways. We'll see you next week. Take care. Have a good safe.
Good night. Bye-bye.